Okay, y'all, welcome back. This is lesson 1 with the Nobody Asked Me podcast. Nobody asked me, but today we will be transmuting negative emotions, and I have my pen and paper ready. I suggest that you go get a pen and paper, put the video on pause, because we are going to get in our feelings. We're going to process our feelings, okay? This may or may not take long. It just depends on how things go. I'm just going to light a little mugwort here for my protection. Hold on. This match don't want to light. Okay, there we go. I hope you all are doing really, really good today. And if you're not, especially if you have caught me at a time where you're processing or you are dealing with some negative emotions, some negative feelings, then, I really sincerely hope that this helps. I give all my messages, my lessons, my teachings with the purest intentions of love, light, and truth. The sounds that you hear in the background, they help you to release anger and negative energy, and I think that that is fitting for today's lesson. Okay? I think it is fitting for today's lesson. There are a couple of rules that I want to go over with you all as we are doing this process. I'm just going to keep it real. So the 2 rules are this. Number 1, you have to be, in order for this to work for you, you have to be 100% honest with yourself, okay? There is no lying to yourself. There is no denial. There is no, y'all see that smoke? There is no judgment. That leads me to rule number 2, which is whatever you are experiencing in this moment, whatever negative emotions you truly feel, you're not allowed to judge yourself for them. Okay? This is not about being politically correct. This is not about being perfect. This is not about being all good. This is about true ownership of what you are actually feeling so that you can face it, so that you can process it, so that you can make peace with it, and so that you can transmute it if you choose, okay? Now, at any moment, while we're going through this process, if you need more time, please pause the video, okay? Take all the time you need. I am going to let y'all in my business, okay? I am going to be transparent and give you the backstory on something that has been vexing my spirit, if you will, okay? And the reason why is because I want you guys to see how this process actually works for me and how I utilized it. I created it for myself, but how I've utilized it in order to actually make peace when I'm experiencing negative emotions, okay? All right. So the backstory is this, y'all. There was this guy I met a couple of months ago, right? And I haven't really been dating since my divorce. To be honest with you, I'm very picky, and not because I think I'm so much better than other people, but because I feel like I'm just so different, quirky, if you will, that I have to be selective, and that's just the truth. I'm very protective of myself, more than I've ever been in my entire life, and I take ownership of that. So for me to take interest in someone, it to me, they are special because it just doesn't happen that often for me. And again, there's no shade to anybody who has shot their shot at me and it missed. It's just that how I connect with people is in a very specific and unique way. So anyway, there was this guy who I thought we made a really good connection. I thought, okay, this could be the start of something good. And as time has progressed, I have found myself confused and frustrated, uncertain, and insecure as it relates to our connection because he has been very inconsistent in and out. And, I haven't really been able to quite put my finger on it. Nonetheless, the experience overall has been extremely disappointing for me. And so I just feel like this is a good example of what I'll use to make peace with what I'm feeling. So the first thing I do, and I'm getting my pen now, is I identify my emotions. I identify what I'm feeling. Now, again, if you need time to really process, or as I'm talking through this, if you just need a moment of silence, please put the video on pause. Take as much time as you need. Just remember the rules, y'all. You have to be 100% honest with yourself, and you cannot judge yourself for what you actually feel. I don't care if it is politically incorrect or whatever the case may be. What you feel is what you feel, and I need you to own it in this moment, okay? Also, you're not limited to just one emotion as you are having an experience. You may have a multitude of emotions, and they may vary from one extreme to another. Whatever it is that you're experiencing and you're feeling, we're going to take a moment to write that down. So I'm going to take a moment to write that down, and then when I'm done, I'll kind of go over what I've identified as far as my emotions, okay? Yes. Make sure you're breathing, okay? Take a moment to breathe in and out and just feel into your heart space and what's really happening. Check your heart posture, okay? Also, I want to add that some of the things that you feel may not particularly qualify as emotions, but I still want you to identify with what you're feeling. There it is. So for the first step, what I identified as my emotions are, for me, as it relates to this situation, I feel disappointment, insecurity, and uncertainty. I feel frustration. Rejection is a huge one. Confusion is a huge thing that I feel. Loss of hope. Forced to let go. I couldn't really find the word in this moment, but that's really how I feel. And deceived, I feel deceived, or I even want to write down misled in a sense, okay? Now, the next step is, now that we understand and we've been able to put a name or identify what we're feeling, we want to ask ourselves, why do we carry these feelings? And this part of the process could take long depending on how many different emotions or feelings you've identified with yourself. But you want to ask yourself, why am I disappointed? Okay? And so for me, before I even get to writing it down, I know that I'm disappointed because I developed expectations. Even though I know better than to have expectations, I'm still very much human, and I developed expectations based on a connection. I would also add that my ego took a hit because what I thought was a genuine connection, now I believe I was wrong about. I misunderstood it. And, sometimes it's hard for me to admit when I misunderstand or misjudge a situation. And I feel like maybe I misjudged the connection, and I gave it more credit than it deserved. And perhaps even maybe I projected who I am onto the situation versus being more objective and seeing it for what it truly is. So those are just some of the things that I can just off the top of my head identify with why I feel disappointed. But I want you guys to take a moment, write down, why do I feel disappointed, and then search your heart, search your soul, and answer these questions. Why do I feel disappointed? Okay? Or why do I feel whatever it is you feel? You may not feel disappointed. You may feel something else. So let me see what else comes up for me. Also, I'm being led to remind you all, the ones that are experiencing feelings of rejection and insecurity, but mainly rejection, is that rejection is always God's protection. A lot of times we don't realize that we are cloaked, and so the people that are not for us will not see our value or will not appreciate our value the way that they're supposed to. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're dealing with people in situations, whether it's love, romance, career, family, friendships, that when you are rejected and you don't receive the outcome that you are really truly looking for, that even though it's not a fun experience and it doesn't feel good and it's painful, and a lot of times we are protected from the things that we thought we wanted. So as you are going through these emotions, just keep that in mind, that even though this experience and whatever this is that you're going through, it doesn't feel good, sometimes it's for, no, not sometimes. We trust the Most High and we know that all things work together for our good. So all the time, it's for our highest good, even if we can't see it and understand it right now. Because we walk by faith and not just by what we see and not just by what is tangible. Okay? All right. So why are you feeling frustration? And I'm just using my examples, or insecurity, or a loss of hope, And I want you to answer those questions honestly, even if admitting it is a blow to your ego, even if it makes you feel a bit cringy, even if it is cringy. This is a safe space to be cringy right now, because the bigger picture is you are learning to make peace with what you're feeling, and you are not judging yourself for how you feel. Okay? All right, so I'm going to give a few more moments, and then we're going to move on to the last step. And again, pause the video if you need to, if you need more time. All right, and so my last step, how I begin to make peace and better understand myself and what I'm feeling, is I ask myself questions. Like, for example, I understand why I felt disappointed, and I put that I misjudged the situation, right? And so now I'm asking myself, well, how did I misjudge the situation? How was I wrong? Well, how I misjudged the situation is because I had expectations. I developed expectations. Because I developed expectations, it caused me to not see the situation as objectively as I could have if I just went with the flow. And just got to be honest with myself about that. Now, here's my bigger truth. Why did I have expectations? I may have developed expectations, but why did I have expectations? I realize as I'm going through this process that those expectations is the root cause of my disappointment, is the root cause of me having this particular negative experience, right? Well, I developed those expectations, or I had those expectations, because I was fixated on an outcome. Instead of being open-minded and open-hearted, I fixated on what exactly I wanted to happen, how I wanted it to happen, when I wanted it to happen. And then when it did not unfold that way, I experienced disappointment. I'm the creator of my own reality, so I created my own sadness. I created my own disappointment. I created my own frustration. I created my own confusion. I created my own feelings of rejection. I created my own insecurity. I created my own loss of hope. And I created my own deception. Simply because I was fixated on an outcome. And because because I was fixated on an outcome, I expected that outcome to happen a certain way. And because I expected that outcome to have a certain way, when it didn't happen that way, I became disappointed. So what have I learned from this? Not only have I made peace with the fact that it's not happening how I fixated on it happening, but I learned to be more open-minded. I learned to be more objective, and I'm learning to be more patient in the process in terms of what I see and experience. Now, your answers may be different than mine as it relates to whatever your situation is, but my hope and my intent is that you are able to delve deep into your own feelings, process your emotions, be honest with yourself, make peace with what you're feeling, and give yourself the opportunity to move forward. Now, if this has helped you in any way, I ask that you kindly let me know in the comments. Let me know how this helped you. Let me know what negative emotions you've processed. And let me know if you think that this can help someone else. And if you believe that this can help someone else, I kindly ask that you send this video to someone else as well. Send it to the person that you think could benefit, could learn from processing, owning, and not judging themselves for how they truly feel. I don't care if you're experiencing envy or jealousy. I don't care if you're experiencing resentment or hatred. Whatever you are feeling that is causing you to feel stuck, I want you to know that you are the co-creator in your own reality, and that you can choose to make peace with what you're feeling. You can choose to sit with what you're feeling. But most of all, you can choose to understand and master yourself. I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, I'm sending you with my love.